Yes. I'm truly becoming a master of the game of Dead by Daylight. I have watched many tips videos on my role, read specific guides on my favorite characters, and play to improve every day.
Yo, man, I just hold the killer, dude. I'm so goated. You should really check out the clip. I'm absolutely cracked at this game. Do you mind? I'm actually trying to get better at my role here. Improve? Why would I do that? So I can play better and be more prepared for players that play harder than I do. Okay, dude, who cares? I just focused on the funny stuff. Going hard at this game is cringe anyways. Okay, so pray tell, what do you do when you face a more difficult player? Nothing. I just tell them off in the endgame chat and then wait for behavior to nerf them. Oh, well, behavior would never reward you with victory just for playing casually, while somebody who's putting in more skill than you gets punished, right? Or maybe they would, I guess. Hello everyone, Brain here with another commentary video. This time, I wanted to focus on something a bit broader, something that's been bothering me for a long time within the Dead by Daylight content space, and I think it's come to haunt the way that many players play the game, which in turn leads to some pretty harmful changes for the gameplay flow for all of us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I think for a long time in the Dead by Daylight community, some of the most popular Dead by Daylight content styles are meme-worthy, high-energy survivor compilations. Some of these videos will have themes like flashlight, saves, haste, etc., but all of them focus around a very memey, jovial, almost immature style of editing. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones where every time the survivor gets a stun on the killer, they play the very loud, obnoxious Taco Bell noise. Anytime they whiff, they make cartoonish noises to make fun of them. There's the tantrum noise anytime the killer fails in any way. The constant cutaways to meme references. The most infamous for me that I personally hate the most is the bro no way! Bro no way, I can't believe I did something relatively simple, but it was kind of funny. Bro no way! I can't believe I did it, bro, no way! That always gets to me, and it often underpins a lot of these interesting videos, and I can guarantee all of us have seen these at one time or another. Now, I will say surprisingly that I do enjoy these videos from time to time. They can generally be funny if done right, and it's clear a lot of creators who make this style of video generally enjoy making these videos. So what's the issue? What's the hang up? Well, I think the problem is that there's a huge discrepancy between killer content and survivor content that I think overall has made the average survivor player stagnate in terms of skill progression, if not outright just getting worse over time. Killer main content by nature is very, very educational by and large, even if it's not trying to be. There are complicated guides that exist out there for just about every killer that exists in the game. I would know. I wrote the one for the Xenomorph, and that is going to be in the description of every single video if you guys need to check that out. There are numerous tips on how to play the killer role in general, which teachable perks to unlock first, a lot of match review content that you can use to cut down on your own mistakes. The list really goes on. Even one of the most common killer video farm content styles, that being build videos, are in a sense also educational because it informs players of good suggestions for perks, add-ons, etc., to have better consistent results in their matches. On the flip side, however, most content that I find for survivor mains is joke content or otherwise quote-unquote chill content that doesn't really recommend or urge their viewers to improve at the survivor role in any meaningful way. If anything, these videos often outright just cut out critical moments that would actually show skillful gameplay like macro play, looping well, etc. They focus only on the singular humorous moments that happen and often omit the parts of the matches that would actually be helpful for you as the survivor to improve at the game overall. This is why my own personal favorite survivor content out there in the DBD landscape is actually DBD comp videos, because I get to see the efficient way that comp survivors actually play the game. This includes check spots, walking your corners, etc. Even if the video is not actively trying to teach you these strategies and scenarios, they are showing off high-level survivor gameplay and gameplay techniques that you can take into your own gameplay. So what's the big negative result with all of this? The negative result is that on average, killer players are more likely to consistently improve at the game of Dead by Daylight just by way of there being such an oversaturation of educational content, whereas survivor players are more likely to stay at their current skill level or degrade over time, since most DBD content for survivor mains is funny or comical and not directed towards actually helping you improve. This creates a disparity between killer players and survivor players, where killer players over time are generally improving, where survivor players are just stagnating or worse. Now you may be saying, saying who cares, people can play however they want. But we get to see the harsh negative effects of stuff like this, like what happened with the last PTB, where they were trying to punish unhealthy gameplay against survivors, but ended up hurting the killer role in general in an attempt to do this. These changes are made in response to the fact that killers have learned how to play the game fairly efficiently, whereas the average survivor is still lacking the ability and cannot meet the level of their opponent. I know personally that I feel this way in my own games too. I play Survivor mostly off stream, but I have one dedicated day that I play Survivor on stream on Fridays every week at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheMrHeadache. And whenever I'm playing, it's not usually the killer camping, tunneling, or slugging that is resulting in my matches being unfun. Instead, it's just about 80% of my random teammates that don't even know how to play the game at even a moderate skill level. They constantly 3-gen, they go for hook save while injured, they unhook me with the killer not even like 10 meters away, so it's essentially just a farm, and a whole other slew of common sense mistakes that realistically shouldn't be happening for people that have been playing this game for thousands of hours in a game that's almost 10 years old. And I really do think a contributing factor to this is, besides the odd video here or there, there's realistically not a lot of educational Survivor content that exists out there. So as a result, the average Survivor player is uninformed and unpracticed on how to play the game more efficiently. There are exceptions to this, like the lovely Mr. Taterhead, which goes out of their way to highlight how to run certain loops on specific maps, take aggro away from high priority generators, etc. All these are excellent high-level traits for the Survivor role that I feel like a majority of big Survivor main content creators just completely gloss over. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that meme or funny Survivor content is inherently a problem, but I think it's more the oversaturation of it as a content style has resulted in a stalling or outright degradation of Survivor skill progression. And as a result, this leads to rallying calls for overhauls to the gameplay flow of Dead by Daylight to nerf the killer instead of the survivors trying to improve the game overall. Now, I do want to address the elephant in the room here and the bigger issue at the heart of all of this, that being the Dead by Daylight tutorials and how they just kind of suck. No, not kind of. They actually just suck. They are the bare basics on how to play the game and don't go into any sort of depth on how the game of Dead by Daylight is actually played out in public matches. While killer mains can stumble naturally into tons of educational content after tutorials fail them, survivors don't have that as much readily available. So they are just stuck with a lot of the macro and micro gameplay mistakes that they learned early on and are more likely to blame the game and the opposing players and rally for changes over improving. In an ideal world, behavior would have a more elaborate tutorial for both sides, and mini tutorials for playing against specific characters, perks, playstyles, etc. The tutorial is gratingly bare bones, and I do think that the Survivor players get the worst end of the fact that it leaves so much to be desired. This, in tandem with the fact that Survivor educational content is by and large rarer than casual funny content, means that it leaves most Survivor players to fend for themselves and make it up as they go. I think there's two ways that this rift heals. Number one, Survivor content creators start making more educational content to try and help the player base improve, and or number two, behavior finally updates their very outdated and not very helpful tutorial system, instead replacing it with something more expansive and more reflective of a real match of Dead by Daylight. How likely is that to happen? Not very, especially the latter suggestion. Behavior has had their hands full with controversy after controversy after controversy. We hear you loud and clear, they say, as they stumble over themselves over and over again, mistake after mistake. The odds that we will get an actual big quality of life change to help players improve is fairly low, as they have their hands tied with nobody but themselves. However, if you are out there and you have a favorite Survivor content creator that makes mostly unserious content, maybe ask them if they're interested in doing more educational or tutorial content on the Survivor role. Even if it's just a video here or there, having good Survivor gameplay tips passed on to a wider audience will improve the quality of our matches overall. I think it's the best we can do as the community at this point, and I don't think it would hurt to try at the very least. But what do you think? Do you think that the lack of Survivor educational content is a problem, or do you think there could be another reason that a lot of the Survivor player base on average plays fairly unskillfully? Let me know down in the comments below. But on that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe, because that's how I know I'm doing a good job on the back end. Other than that, hopefully this video made your day a little bit better today, friends. If it didn't make your day better, I will try to do so again in the next video. And if I don't see you there, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.